Tune here with Mind Rewire. I'm as always super excited to be with you. I love doing this stuff. Let me put my microphone back on. Hopefully you can hear me all right and this video turns out all right. I'm noticing my phone's not doing such a good job anymore, so I might need to change that up a little bit. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is adult onset ADD. Is it something that subconscious change can help? It's an interesting topic. It's an interesting conversation. And I've been working with more and more people, more and more adults that are coming to me and saying, like, this is my list of limiting beliefs and the problems I'm having, but I also have adult onset ADD, or I've had ADD, I was tagged with that or labeled with it as a child. And so is that something that subconscious change can affect? Can it not affect? My answer is pretty much all the same. It's always the same. I don't know. We can play with it and see. We can check it out and see what will change for you, but for every person it seems to be a little bit different. So a guy I was working with the other day, and this was just a really super cool story, is why I wanted to relay it to you, had a pretty profound effect from it. I'm going to tell you exactly what we did, and maybe it'll help you and give you some ideas in your own walk and your own struggle with things like ADD. So his symptoms that he came in with, what he was talking about, what he told me about the ADD, was that he's constantly distracted, has very low motivation, lack of motivation. He's always late for stuff. That makes him crazy. He's always losing things. He can never seem to find anything. He has trouble paying attention and even listening to what other people are saying. So when other people are talking to him, being able to listen and track whatever's going on, he loses it pretty quickly. And then he also gets very overwhelmed by little things. And one of the things he cited was washing dishes. He said there could just be a few dishes in the sink and he'll get so overwhelmed by just the thought of having to take care of that, that it just really throws him over the edge. So his question was, is this something that we can balance or neutralize in his system? If we can desynchronize the energy to it. I use those terms, those kind of terms a lot. And so my answer was the same, like, I don't know, let's play with it and see what happens. So usually we'll set up a phrase or a statement or something that's positive that we can either balance, we'll use that for the thing to go to, or we'll clear the negative stuff first and then pull that in at the end and use it to seed your mind to put something back in. And so what he said simply he wanted was, his phrase was, I can focus whenever I want to and whenever I need to. And that just really made him kind of settle in. He's like, that would be the best thing in the world if I could just focus. So what we decided to do, we went through and tested a lot of different ideas and different things. And what seemed to come up was going through each one of the issues one at a time and loading them into a system and then clearing the patterns one at a time as he was feeling it. So we did something like constantly getting distracted. Had him think about times and places where he would get distracted easily, pull those into his system, do a whole brain posture, balance that, and then moved on to lack of motivation. Times when he knew he had been unmotivated or he needed to be motivated and he wasn't. Just thinking through the issues and through the things, and we would balance that in his system. The same thing with being late and losing things. I think those got coupled together. And then the same with paying less attention. And then also with being overwhelmed by little things. And that one seemed to be a pretty big one. We actually cracked that one down. So it was being overwhelmed by little things. And then it was like little things like having to do a chore. Little things like having to help do something at work. Little things like having to do something with his kids, with his wife. So we kind of pieced it out in different arenas. And for whatever reason for him, that seemed to be what was needed. So that's what we did. And then at the end, he started focusing on his phrase, I can focus whenever I want to. I can focus whenever I need to. Repeating that over and over. He was in a different whole brain state, in a different posture at this point. He had switched that up somewhere in the middle there, but continued to say that phrase until he felt a shift in his perception of the phrase. And it was really interesting because somewhere in the middle there he stopped and he goes, this is so wicked cool. And I was like, why, what's going on? And he says, the ability to focus isn't really the issue. He goes, focusing isn't even really a thing. And I was like, okay, let's get through this and finish up the process, and then we'll come back and talk about that. So what we ended up, after the process was totally over, what we ended up noticing, and what he talked about, was the ability to focus. His ability to focus was limited by the junk that was caught up in his head. His ability to focus on anything was limited by all the stuff that was in his brain, because he wasn't processing anything. It was all just like sticking in his brain, and then it was just all rattling around in there. So when his brain was clear of a lot of these issues, like literally moving it out, taking it apart, disassembling it, desynchronizing it, however you want to talk about it, his need to focus diminished, if that makes any sense. He said what he noticed was that when he would try and focus on something before, he couldn't focus because there was too much stuff. When he would focus, or what he thought was focusing afterwards, he found he didn't need to focus because the thing he was trying to get to was right in front of him, because there wasn't anything else there. And I just thought that was super interesting, and actually really, really profoundly cool. Because he could see clearly what was in front of him, what it was he was trying to do. There was no need to focus on it because it was just right there, and he could go do the thing. My words to everybody after a balance and an insight and an awareness like that is, go test it. Go out and do something. I was like, even if your sink is clean right now, go put a few dishes in it. Get them dirty first. Do whatever you need to do. Cause the issue. See if you fall back into the same pattern. Or see if it's totally clear and you can go and do what you need to go do now. Because in that moment, that's how he felt. So in the moment, and that's how most people walk away, is like, I feel great in the moment. What's going to happen tomorrow? And that's always my question, is go test it and see. Because we won't know if we really got to the neuroplasticity, and we won't know if we really started taking those things apart until you go test it. So his label of ADD as a child, these were the things that his parents and doctors were always telling him. You can't focus, you're distracted, you're unmotivated. They told him he was lazy. He noticed as an adult he was always late and losing things, that he was having trouble paying attention. And it was the labeling that he took on as a child as truth that he kept just building up all these issues to, and even making other stories to as an adult. So being able to move that and clear that for him turned into a life-altering, really cool thing. And he works on computers a lot. He does a lot of stuff for people online. So being able and being motivated to actually carry through with a task is going to be super profound for this young guy. So super fun stuff. Focusing it literally just, I don't even know, we did maybe 6 or 7 balances using a whole brain state. And then, you know, his question was, is the need to focus a made-up thing after that? He started getting really profound, trying to think, like, is that just totally a made-up thing for most people? Do we need to focus on stuff, or is it going to be clearly right there when all the clutter and the clamor is gone out of your head? I don't know. Good questions, right? And fun to play with. So if you're using a whole brain state, go ahead and leave comments below. I'm curious what other people are doing with this. Mind Rewire solely focuses on using a whole brain state to help you eliminate subconscious stress in your system, no matter where it came from. Whether it was from young childhood, something that happened, a trauma, an incident, an issue, whether it's memories you've built up over time because of something that happened and you had to make up stories to it to make your life happen and just keep moving forward. Doesn't matter what it is. We come at it the same way. And if we get into it and find out there's other pieces needed, then we'll interject those also. So one of the other things we noticed with this guy, one of my questions to him, and just because of the symptoms, right? If you're just being really super honest about it, some of this could be brain fog. Some of this could be caused by the food that he's eating. Because we know with GMOs and some of the chemicals that are in our food supply, that's exactly what they cause. They cause inflammation, and it's not just like inflammation in certain places. If you're inflamed, you've got inflammation a little bit probably everywhere, including your brain, and the brain fog that will come from that. And even the stall out of chemical production because of some of these chemicals can be really profound. So that's what actually ended our conversation, was check your food supply. What are you eating? Do you know if it's GMO? Do you know if it's a clean food supply? And he flat out admitted he knows about GMOs. He gets all that. He just doesn't want to do it. It's more effort than he thought it was worth. And my question to him was, is living like you just now explained to me an easier route? Is that an easier way to live than just cleaning up your food supply and having a clean brain? And we don't know really which was causing which worse, what was causing the worst of the problem. But if they're both in there, come at it from every angle possible. Healing does not happen just from one place. It happens from many different areas. If it's your food supply, clean up your food supply. If it's from a mental standpoint and it's subconscious issues, let's take care of that. If it's something else, right, you're going to take care of that too. If it's a spiritual issue, take care of that. So we got to come at it from all of these different ways. And then you could be like this guy and have a totally huge, mind-blowing opening experience. It's just like, wow, I don't need to focus. Everything I need is just right here in front of me and it's ready to go. Hey, so this was super fun. I hope that helped. If you do have adult ADD and you want to look into subconscious change, if you think that might be a subconscious stress that's causing some of your issues, go ahead and contact me. Look up mindrewire.com. There's a button on there where you can schedule a free session. I would love to show this to you. Subconscious change is an easy, quick way to get to the root of some of these problems. If there's other things attached to it too, that's when we start looking at nutrition, diet, exercise, taking care of the physical body in other ways, and then also the spirit is at the same time. But like I said, go over there, take a look. Let me know if there's any way I can help. It's always a lot of fun, and I look forward to speaking with you. This is Christy Mattoon in Mind Rewire. Thanks again.